SBA Administrator Isabel Casillas Guzman, and our small businesses now more than ever need to think about their resiliency. It's imperative that businesses plan for and get prepared within all of their standard operating procedures for disasters, and make sure that you visit SBA.gov in partnership with USRC to find out how to do just that.
Hi, I'm Evan Reese. I'm the Executive Director of the U.S. Resiliency Council. And today was such an important event because education about earthquake performance and earthquake resilience is essential in order to motivate small businesses and individuals to make changes. We live in California. We know that there are earthquakes, right? But really understanding me as a small business owner, how can I change the inevitable? How can I really make a difference? Is this something that I have no control over or not? And the answer is you have a lot of control over how to make your business and the properties you own resilient. And so it starts with educating the public, educating small businesses about the risk, but also about the opportunities. At the USRC we say something like fear plus hope and a plan. Right? And we don't try and focus on the fear part, but the hope and the plan part is essential because small businesses can make a difference, and if we bring together the right people, like the Small Business Administration, like banks, like chambers of commerce, like insurance companies, we can start to see that we all benefit when even one small grocery store or apartment owner makes their building stronger, protects the people inside, protects the economy of their local neighborhood or community. And once we all benefit, we can see how we can work with each other to incentivize building owners to invest in resilience. So it's not all on them to spend the funding. So that's why it's so exciting to be here. The SBA is a great partner, and we look forward to putting out more educational programs like the Resilience Advantage that are focused specifically on how small businesses can improve their resilience and their capacity to withstand earthquakes. All levels of government really have a part to play. Obviously the SBA is at the federal level, and the federal government is bringing all sorts of resources to bear with the Infrastructure Act and new commitments towards resilience. The state government, in Sacramento here in California has obviously put a lot of effort into grants and funding for resilience, especially with this new bill that was passed that allocated $250 million to seismically retrofit soft story buildings. But local governments have a really important part to play because the average business owner or apartment owner may not be aware of all the opportunities that are out there. So it's the responsibility of cities, not just large cities like Los Angeles, but the 100+ smaller towns and cities in Southern California and around the state, to get the word out to their business owners, their apartment owners, even their tenants that live in the city, to say, hey, there's these opportunities, how can I take advantage of them? So we hope that this partnership with the SBA won't just be sort of a federal level initiative, that it will get down to the state and particularly the local level as well.
First of all, this is a very important day because it's bringing together governments along with nonprofits to make awareness around safety and resiliency in buildings that are susceptible to earthquakes. And so the soft second-story buildings are those that house a lot of families that are work at home after the pandemic. I think we see a lot of families, a lot of people who are working from home, whether they're self-employed or whether otherwise, and also in buildings that they need to just be more alert, and building owners to how they can get the building safe, because it's all about saving lives. We're going to have earthquakes, and we've got to make sure that the structure that people are in are safe and secure, and that it preserves life. The bill that we were able to move forward this year, 1721, providing $250 million for small business owners and others to be able to have resources to be able to do the work. That's paramount, that's key.
My name is Aaron Gross. I'm the Chief Resilience Officer for the City of Los Angeles. I base out of the Mayor's Office of Public Safety. And I am so excited about this announcement today. It is essential for us to do everything we can for our small businesses in the city of LA, for us to focus our efforts on our mom and pop apartment buildings. They are, both the small businesses and our apartment buildings are the lifeblood of the city, the economic viability of this city. And for us to have the partnership and resources from the federal government and from the state government, for us to put our forces together to be able to provide resources and incentives, to provide information, is essential for us to be able to protect this city, for us to be able to prepare for the shocks and stresses that are coming, but also to deal with them and to recover from them. We don't talk enough about the recovery from the disaster that's coming, and that disaster requires us to partner with the federal government, with our state government, and from a city dealing with the after effects of COVID, the after effects of other disasters that we're dealing with. It is essential that we recognize that keeping people employed, keeping businesses running, keeping services running, keeping our affordable housing intact is something that we don't do enough of and we need to focus on. So this partnership today is really going to allow us to focus more effort, focus more resources on the essentials of protecting the city and making a more resilient Los Angeles. We already have a housing crisis, a housing shortage at all levels of affordability. And these businesses, these apartment buildings that we're talking about are our affordable housing. We have over 50% of our residents are in apartment buildings, and if the ground shakes and we have destruction of a number of these units, we're going to have more and more people that are displaced, causing economic disaster for the city, not only for our logistics and housing people and protecting people, but also in the challenges we already have with housing, with homelessness, that this is essential that we focus this money and these resources to protect our affordable housing, to protect our workforce housing, and to make sure that the city will be able to survive and thrive during and after any disaster that comes. The Resilience Advantage program is an amazing resource that we can help provide to those in need, to businesses, to apartment buildings. The city is only able to do so much. And so it's essential that we partner with our local community, with our regional community, with our partners to help provide not only the resources, but the education and the information so people can help themselves. We as a city will do as much as we can and as much as we're able to, but at the same time, we need to help people protect themselves, help people educate themselves, and this is really a community effort to protect and preserve the city of LA.
My name is Elmi Bermejo. I am the Regional Administrator for Region 9 for the Small Business Administration. Region 9 encompasses California, Arizona, Nevada, Hawaii, and Guam. Today's signing of the co-sponsorship between the SBA and the U.S. Resiliency Council is tremendously important for small businesses. We're talking about how to basically survive. We know there are going to be disasters. We just don't know when. So preparation is a key with this partnership, the education that's going to come up with that, educating our lenders to educate their customers, making sure that small businesses have the tools to really withstand any kind of disaster, man-made, hurricanes, fires, all these kinds of things that really we're sometimes at the mercy of. And how can businesses be prepared? Everything from, do you have your records in order? Is your computer system up to date? How are you going to reach your workers if something happens? Making those from baby steps to really making sure that businesses understand what it takes to survive is going to be the difference when recovery comes between spending smaller amounts of money to huge amounts of money because people were not prepared. So this works in line with what we are doing to make sure that businesses are resilient, that they have the tools. We hope to be doing these webinars in also various languages because we know that many small businesses are owned by women and by people of color. So we do not want to leave anyone behind when it comes to this. And working with the U.S. Resiliency Council and launching it today in Los Angeles at the LA Chamber of Commerce is tremendously an important partnership for SBA. And again, this is why programs like the Resilience Advantage are critically important to making sure that this is a success. So we want to make sure that people are informed and we continue to provide trainings so that they understand what they need to do to survive and to be resilient.
My name is Ben Stapleton, and I'm the Executive Director for the U.S. Green Building Council, Los Angeles. Yeah, this is an important moment. It's so important that we look at opportunities to make our businesses and our buildings more resilient. We have limited opportunities to invest these funds, and to layer that with sustainability, it just means we're going to have longer term businesses that are going to operate through disasters, through issues around increasing temperatures, water scarcity, be able to reduce their expenses long term. So really this is about economic development. It's about preserving the money we've already invested and reducing our costs long term to maintain our businesses, to maintain our buildings, and invest in our communities. When we look at resilience, it's really an issue about resources. Right now we're dealing with emissions on a global scale we've never seen. We need to preserve the assets we have. We need to make sure that the assets we have can be resilient in the face of disaster, because if we have to replace those assets, if we have to reinvest, we're recreating a lot of those emissions. We're doubling that life cycle cost of those assets. So it's much less of a cost from an environmental standpoint, an emission standpoint, to preserve the buildings we have now, invest lesser money to retrofit these buildings, invest lesser money to make them more energy efficient long term, and to recreate and to rebuild them, because that's going to increase that total life cycle cost. About 90% of the emissions of a building comes from the construction and the materials for that building. About 10% of that is from the operations lifetime of that building. Embodied carbon is all the carbon and emissions that went into the manufacturing of the products that go to build that building. The cement, the steel, the structural glass, all that stuff that creates the emissions in the factories to build it, to ship it to that site, as well as construct it on site. And about 90% of the emissions of the building from its lifetime, its life cycle, come from that construction. About 10% is from the operations of that building long term. So if we can preserve those buildings, preserve that 90% of the emissions we've already invested by making our buildings more resilient, that's going to reduce that long-term life cycle cost of those buildings. That's why it's so critical that we take advantage of this moment and this historical opportunity to take create awareness, create education, and you work with Resilience Advantage and others to get this information out to our businesses and to our communities so they can invest and make their buildings more resilient long term.